you're a man of vision, as we've uncovered so far, and
clear-minded.
And clear-minded. And in the Bible, when an angel would deliver a message, the angel will normally start by saying, "Fear not." Has there been a vision that God has shown you that you almost had a bit of fear in your mind of, wow?
Interesting question. I think fear is a dominant emotion that every human being experiences, but its manifestation is a matter of choice. So, give a practical example. When we were in the previous building, speaking from a ministry point of view, and I got a letter saying we should move out in a year, and I knew where we were as a church. I said to my team, I said, this is an existential threat to the church. Now, that could be deemed an expression of fear. But one thing I don't do, it's just something in my psyche. I don't brood. Right. I don't get anxious. Right. I get to work. So it became, okay, what do we need to do? Yeah. Set up a team. Let's go to work. Let's get out there. What do we have? What don't we have? How do we make this happen? So it's not a bad thing to be anxious, to have an element of trepidation is the good word. But don't stay there. Yeah. Because the breakthrough comes in when you move. There's a book by Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. That's a book I love. Yeah. I have it in audiobook and text. Because it is true, fear is real. But you cannot achieve anything. You cannot get anything done if you don't surmount and overcome your fear. Because what is fear really? False evidence appearing real. That very popular saying. Yeah. So I have not experienced a thing where I had debilitating fear. But I've experienced things where I knew I'm sort of like on the borderline.
On the edge.
And I'm like, well, okay, so fine.
Yeah.
If we tip, we pick ourselves up again.
Indeed.
And so far in 60 years, we haven't tipped.
So far, so good.
We still find a way.
That's so good to know. There is a question actually, and just because you mentioned that book that you did a moment ago, we were asking whether there was one book you've read as an adult or even pre-adult, if it stayed with you, that you wish you could share with your younger self. Well, actually, no. So that you wish that everyone else could read. So if it's that one, that's great. You can mention it again. Or if there's others that you would like to share with us.
I read books. I often say, if I didn't buy an extra book, an additional book, and if I did nothing else, and if I lived till age 90, I can't finish the books I have. I collect books now, and I have books on every kind of dimension or subject. But the question, and the interesting thing about the question is the beginning was my late teens. Right. A gift I was given, I think it was my 21st birthday probably, was a Robert Schuller book, Tough Times Never Last, but Tough People Do. Yeah. I think that's where that psyche came from. And then as a professional, in benefit of hindsight, wrongly, but at the time, I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
I wanted to step out of profession and be an entrepreneur. But in later life, I've now realized that I'm more gifted, I'm more of a manager of resources than an entrepreneur. Okay. And I should just stay in that line. Or well, maybe that's where I am now. Yeah. That's why God brought me back into this. Now, the book that sparked my entrepreneurial drive is Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad,
Poor Dad. And he does that for so many people. But you can't stop there. Because yes, he opens the door into strive, but then the how.
Yeah.
And the graveyard for many ambitions is in the how. I started out, I did very well in my business, and I went the way of birthing startups.
Okay.
And I birthed 7 startups. 7. And every one of them failed.
Wow.
That wasn't the climax I was expecting.
Wow.
So there you go.
Yeah. Right.
There you go.